Story 1. Very affectionate women. I really enjoy being close to someone. I would carry her like a backpack if she wants. Just hold me. Story 2. Depression often affects boys who express themselves through self-deprecating humor and bitterness towards the world. I believe this is because I suppress those traits in myself. Story 3. Emotionally unavailable men can be frustrating. They have otherwise wonderful qualities as partners but struggle to overcome their emotional barriers. They often avoid serious conversations. One even told me they would rather run into a burning building than discuss their feelings. Story 4. Obsessive neediness. Codependency is significant. A social personality towards others. Possessiveness. Basically a Yandere type. If it's a red flag, that indicates it catches my attention. Story 5. Manipulative. I love how they influence people. I love how they influence me and ruin anyone caught in between. Story 6. Displaying the symptoms of borderline personality disorder, where I am the object of limerence for that person. Down to do any ridiculous activity we think of. Excitement. Fun. The best experiences ever. And then it always crashes and burns spectacularly. And I become paranoid that there is a person out for my blood, wondering what it is in me that keeps this cycle going. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me in 70% of my adult relationships, and I am definitely the common denominator here. Story 7. I like being close. Please send me texts throughout the day and tell me how much you care for me. Send me good morning and good night messages. If something is happening in your day, let me know. For instance, if we are on the couch together, put an arm around me. Just act like you care. I love that. Story 8. They are great in bed, but act slightly odd outside of it. That should be a warning sign for me. They usually end up being quite difficult once I've committed to the relationship. But to be fair, the common factor is me. Maybe I drive them crazy. Who knows? Story 9. Arrogance and individuals who believe they are more intelligent than others or smarter than me at least. Story 10. Silence is mysterious and intriguing. It is pleasant until you are in a relationship with someone and it feels like you are communicating with a wall. Story 11. Avoidant attachment styles. From start to finish, I have observed the cycle I get caught in with these individuals. It is not enjoyable, always ends poorly, and I know better, yet I cannot seem to stay away from them. Story 12. Girls that I know might be at risk of leaving when things start to get serious. I still missed the last one. She introduced me to her kids one week, and the next she was too busy to hang out. Story 13. I was told by a girl I dated years ago that I have had too much success with unavailable women, and I think she was honestly spot on. For a long time, I attached value to the idea of winning over or convincing a girl I was attracted to that I was a high-value person and she should date me. That whole alpha male mentality really affected me. Conversely, it caused me to be universally disinterested in women who expressed interest in me up front. I always told myself it was because they just weren't my type physically, but I'm not so sure now. Maybe it was more psychological. I'm at the point now where I want something in between. I want a girl who excites me and sparks feelings of attraction, but who is also mutually interested in me. I'm not interested in trying to chase or persuade people anymore. A mutual pursuit could be fun. I want the experience where I demonstrate my interest and we engage in a playful back and forth. However, I'm not looking for that on the hunt mentality. Story 14. Musicians and artists often struggle with self-esteem, productivity, mental health issues, financial instability, and sometimes substance abuse. However, I find them to be the most intriguing individuals worth my time. I prefer not to spend my precious time with someone who works at a bank and is interested only in attending a baseball game on the weekends. Story 15. Jealous, controlling, possessive men. I love it when a guy demands to check my phone, questions me about where I have been, and tries to tell me I cannot go out wearing that dress. I know it is unhealthy, but it is such a turn-on. Story 16. Individuals who are unkind to me but secretly have feelings for me. Troubled individuals. Those who are desperate or obsessed with me. Impulsive, opinionated, and argumentative, disrespectful, often dress in black, unpredictable. They have an unhealthy obsession with my identity, inherently intelligent in many areas but indifferent, unaffected by social stigma. They ensure they always achieve their desires, slightly misogynistic, insecure individuals with inner conflict and anger. Story 17. It is deemed by society that people in a relationship who choose not to have friends of the opposite sex are raising a concern. However, I believe this is a positive sign. It will always be a strong positive sign. Story 18. Emotionally unavailable. It feels nice not to feel threatened with the possibility of having to stay with them. I appreciate that they do not try to take over my life. If they wanted to do that, they simply leave quietly without saying anything. They do not ask questions or create drama. They do not express their needs. They just give up and disappear. This is definitely safer than other possibilities. Story 19. I love opinionated girls who will argue with me for the sake of argument and generally despise everything. The one that got away was this absolutely stunning Lebanese girl who told my friend off when he tried to pressure her into something. If you argue with me and are even slightly attractive, I'm immediately smitten. Story 20. It doesn't exist. A red flag is a huge turnoff for me. If anything, I have fallen for love bombing in the past, but once I recognized it for what it truly was, it made me lose interest. Story 21. Being interested in me. I would not be interested in any woman whose standards are low enough to be interested in me. Story 22. Apparently, I have bad taste in women in general, said the last girl who broke my heart. The irony isn't lost on me. Story 23. Unavailable men, both emotionally and physically. I find myself attracted to people in positions of power, as well as high-functioning, psychologically complex men, similar to my psychiatrist. Story 24. I can go from thinking a girl is normally cute, but if she has a hilariously high body count, then for some reason she seems way hotter. Story 25. The hot and cold cat and mouse game. Nothing compares to the highs and lows of that. Yes. Disrica memore. I will talk to you in a week when you're obsessed with me again. Story 26. I am drawn to women who struggle to fully surrender in intimacy, as their strong reliance on logic and intellect creates a barrier to deep connection. Their need to analyze and maintain control prevents them from fully experiencing vulnerability, making it harder for them to let go and trust the moment. Story 27. When they are bossy, I really don't like submissive girls. However, that often results in you working harder than they do. I've never had someone who would do everything for me. Story 28. Being with someone who disregards my needs and focuses on my flaws, while I try to meet their needs through acts of service and words of affirmation, creates a cycle of resentment and obsession with gaining their love and approval. I find myself caught in this situation, especially with my ex, as we now co-parent our 2 daughters together for the rest of our lives. Story 29. I love nerdy guys who are passionate about politics and history. That hasn't always gone well for me, but my current boyfriend is neither a neo-Nazi, communist, nor involuntary celibate, so I consider that a win. Story 30. I think the red flag I was most attracted to was the love bombing phase. Now, after the breakup, my only interactions with men are online and occasional support from my male coworker. Story 31. High-functioning drinkers. I grew up in a very dysfunctional family with a lot of abuse, and my dad drank constantly. Sadly, the smell of alcohol on someone's breath seems to attract me. It's horrible, but I am aware of the issue and have had therapy, so I can avoid it now that I know why and put myself first. Story 32. A history of depression or self-harm is something I recognize, as I am accustomed to these situations and can navigate them effectively. Story 33. I am attracted to younger men. My husband is 20 years younger than I. I joke and tell people that I used to be his nanny, but that is not true. We met at work, and I did not realize how young he was. He had a full beard. Story 34. I have definitely improved in this area over the years, but I used to be attracted to men who had no intention of committing to me. Once men started to care about me, I felt controlled, and that was when I would run away or sabotage the relationship. Story 35. Based on my past relationships, I tend to be attracted to petite blonde women who are quite challenging. I find myself easily influenced by blonde women who express interest in me. Story 36. Silver fox fathers between the ages of 35 to 55. I am 24 years old, but I look like I am 17. I know it may seem unusual, but older men really attract me. Story 37. People who are emotionally detached or avoidant often bring out my true personality. It feels like I subconsciously recognize that they don't care about me, which allows me to be authentic since it doesn't matter to them. As a result, I no longer trust individuals I am attracted to because there is likely something amiss. Story 38. Cuts from self-harm on the thighs. Although I would never encourage or facilitate self-harm, I feel awful about it. Whenever I see it, I find it very attractive. Story 39. Being a little mean is a red flag because it can easily go too far or become tiresome. Maybe I'm the red flag for changing my mind on a previously agreed upon situation. Is anyone interested in my red flag? Story 40. I've loved girls who are unpredictable. Nothing has matched the emotional roller coaster like them. For some reason, healthy relationships unsettle me when everything goes right. Story 41. All of my long-term relationships seem to have been with women who have personality disorders of some kind. Maybe it will be different next time. Story 42. When the person is slightly foolish, their charm can lead to many problems in a real relationship. Story 43. The avoidant attachment girls are a turn-on for me. Normally, I attract girls through interactions and interest, but I often find myself dealing with them from time to time. Story 44. I dislike clinginess, but I also dislike emotionally unavailable men who seem to always be in my life. Story 45. Women who are controlling, mean, possessive, or overly bossy. I feel so lonely that I have been considering being open to dating someone like that. Story 46. I always seem to attract people who are unconventional or have mental health challenges. I can't help but care because I too am unconventional and face mental health challenges. Story 47. I love pursuing individuals who are incredibly difficult to connect with because it is much more satisfying when you get to know them. Story 48. Individuals who grew up in complicated family dynamics, such as being raised by single mothers or grandparents, or experiencing an absent or abusive parent, often face unique challenges. Story 49. When I was single, I used to say the perfect woman was one who had three qualities: slim, assertive, and not suitable for me. I had a lot of satisfying experiences, but also many disappointing ones. Story 50. Men with unresolved issues related to their mothers often struggle when they have a bad or distant relationship with them. However, a man who has a close and supportive relationship with his mother does not face the same difficulties. Story 51. The individuals who struggle with taking initiative, showing affection, and never take me out on dates or buy me flowers. Why am I like this? Story 52. Narcissistic tendencies. Emotional unavailability. Difficulty getting along with others. Story 53. I once matched with a girl on an app. We chatted a bit, discovered we had mutual connections, and planned to meet up, but then it fizzled out. Nothing ever really transpired. She is attractive, but not really my type, so I didn't feel a strong enough personal attraction to pursue it once it didn't progress. Months later, I was chatting with a friend who, through various connections, actually knew her. He eventually revealed that she was once engaged but had cheated on her fiancé. At that point, I found myself more attracted to her. It's hard to explain, and I still didn't pursue it, but I was definitely more tempted than before. Story 54. I used to feel strung along, not ignored but given just enough attention to maintain my interest. Nowadays, I would move on as soon as possible. Story 55. Workaholics are people I know who will never like me back. It's like my crush is safe with them, and I can yearn forever. But once anyone actually shows interest in me, I lose interest. I'm kind of messed up. Sometimes I wonder if I am aromantic and just like the idea of chasing an ideal. Story 56. I am seriously attracted to a 43-year-old bartender who is in a concerning relationship with the 70-year-old owner of the bar. There are many red flags. She was a former dominatrix, and I am the emotional support boyfriend. However, she is beautiful and the man is abusive. I have no loyalty to that. Story 57. I have married two men who were both diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder as children, not on medication, and they both struggled with alcoholism. Interestingly, one comes from a family of wheat farmers, and the other has celiac disease. Story 58. Girls with ADHD who disrespected their high school teachers are some of my favorite targets for BDSM. Story 59. Historically, I was attracted to petite Asian women with personality disorders or a history of trauma. I'm not sure how that came to be or how I managed to connect with their guarded personalities, but it was enjoyable until it wasn't. I took a chance and dated someone quite different, and I got engaged, so there's hope. Story 60. Girls who are into casual drugs like marijuana, mushrooms, or ecstasy. However, it is harmful because we would be enabling each other and continuously encouraging one another to use drugs. Story 61. Not really a concern, but I find it appealing when someone is in a position of authority. Story 62. I appreciate when others comment on my body in an admiring way. It gives me a confidence boost. Story 63. I think one red flag I often notice is when someone is very confident but also somewhat arrogant. I still find myself intrigued. It's a bit of a mess, but I'm working on it. Story 64. I've noticed that the best relationships come with intense attachment. I need to find that balance for a true partner. Story 65. Someone a bit mysterious or emotionally unavailable. The whole hard to read, but intriguing vibe is like a puzzle that you know you shouldn't try to solve, but you can't help it. Story 66. I'm in many Canadian, bi-Canadian, and political forums. My mind turned to flags, and I went to the comments expecting a strange discussion about them. Story 67. Possessive men, but not controlling, can be appealing. Men who have many sexual options are attractive, which combined with the first trait is irony at its finest. Men with a bit of a temper, but not directed at me, can also be intriguing. My all-time favorite is emotionally unavailable or hard to understand. Women who are dedicated to their partner can also be very attractive. Story 68. Girls with abandonment issues can be very clingy. I tend to be clingy myself and have some minor abandonment issues, so it's comforting to share those emotions and experiences. It turns out my relationships never last very long. Who could have seen that coming? Story 69. I'm generally attracted to girls who seem to need rescuing, which leads me to swoop in and save the day. Eventually, I end up feeling used. It's surprising. Right now, I am in love with someone who doesn't need me for anything, and I am struggling with the idea that she actually wants me and not just what I can offer her. Story 70. Are you a person who has managed to evade detection? Not anymore. If I am attracted to you, then you might be involved in criminal activity. I am not dating anymore unless law enforcement needs assistance. Story 71. Independence and self-sufficiency. The less she relies on me, the more I am attracted to her. This is definitely a red flag and a new topic for my therapist. Thank you. Story 72. Love bombing, clinginess, and individuals with no emotional intelligence can create intense feelings initially, but it always leads to chaos. Story 73. Who knows anymore? You can be as upfront and honest as possible, but it can still be a buzzkill and a turnoff. They match whatever you say, yet they may still be lying to drain your energy. They are getting smarter children of them, hybrids. Story 74. Obsessive behavior. Committed behavior. If you are not in it for the long term, what are you even doing here? Story 75. The swastika. I strongly oppose Nazis and anti-Semitism, but there is something about that flag that I find intriguing. Story 76. I don't know why, but something about the personality type of "let me fix this because I have to" stands out to me. Story 77. This has landed me in difficult situations and often caused problems, but I appreciate people who are incredibly straightforward, even if they lack tact. To me, that's a sign they are at least willing to express their needs and wants, sometimes excessively. Story 78. Alcohol consumption? I want and fortunately have a girlfriend I can enjoy drinking with. I would not choose to live with someone who is always sober and serious. Story 79. I am attracted to actresses and singers, not because of fame, but because it is what I enjoy. From what I have seen, actor-actress relationships often do not work. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.